One of my favourite episodes of Batman Beyond is Out of the Past, a Bruce Wayne-centric story that takes place on his birthday. Rather than being a joyous celebration of his life, the elder Batman instead sat in his cave and looked over pictures of his lost lovers. Each of these women represented an opportunity for him to settle down and live a normal life, but each relationship inevitably ended because Batman chose his mission over his own happiness. This got me thinking about a recurring theme for the DC Animated Universe version of Batman, and that's the significance of love. I had previously made a video talking about how this version of Batman was defined by lost love, the loss of his parents and the collapse of significant relationships over the years. Add that to your watch list if you haven't seen it already, because not enough people have. And I started to wonder which of his lost loves was the most significant in his life. So I have assembled a group of DCAU enthusiasts and tasked them with making the case for their chosen characters. Up first we have my wife Mary, who many of you will know as the host of our podcasts Totally Shui and Totally Shui Flipside. She's also dabbled in her own video essays about characters seen in the DC Animated Universe, most recently Lois Lane. Mary's pick is Andrea Beaumont.
One of the most compelling and heart-wrenching love stories in the DCAU is the tragic relationship between Bruce Wayne and Andrea Beaumont. While their romance may not have been the longest, it's undoubtedly one of the most profound and memorable, and it's one that stays with me long after watching it. Their story, as told in Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, is a blend of passion, sacrifice, and ultimate heartbreak. For those familiar with Batman, the animated series, Bruce Wayne is often portrayed as the quintessential playboy, detached, guarded, and seemingly uninterested in forming real connections. But that wasn't always the case. In his youth, he was an isolated, socially awkward young man trying to find his way in the world, and at this point, he met Andrea Beaumont. What makes Andrea so special is that she's not drawn to Bruce Wayne's wealth or status. She's captivated by Bruce himself. Before he started pretending to be a playboy and before he found his true identity as Batman. And it's not just a physical attraction that the two share. Andrea truly understands him. She's not just another person in his life. She's someone who genuinely connects with him on a deep level. They're both figures that are controlled by the devotion to their families. Bruce has sworn to avenge his murdered parents, while Andrea ends up giving up on her own happiness to save her father's life. And a decade after she was forced to abandon Bruce, the two reunite, and it's clear that they both share the same trauma: the loss of a parent and a burning desire for vengeance. There are several poignant moments in Mask of the Phantasm that showcase the depth of their bond. One of the most beautiful is when Bruce and Andrea visit Gotham's world of the future. Surrounded by futuristic prototypes and visions of a world yet to come, it's around this time when Bruce allows himself to dream of a different life, a life that includes Andrea. In that moment, she represents the possibility of a brighter, more hopeful future, something Bruce has never allowed himself to imagine. It's a quiet, powerful symbol of the life he could have had if things had been different. But the prospect of this bright future fills Bruce with guilt. What about his vows to avenge his parents? Bruce stands at his parents' grave and pleads with them for permission to move on and find happiness with Andrea. It's one of the most emotionally raw moments in the entire series. Bruce, never one to express his vulnerability, admits in a heartbreaking line, "I didn't count on being happy." It's a stunning moment of self-awareness where Bruce acknowledges that for all his efforts to fight crime and honor his parents' memory, he never allowed himself the freedom to seek love and joy. When Andrea finds him at the grave, she says, "Maybe they sent me." It's a tender, almost surreal moment, one that speaks volumes about love, loss, and the unspoken connection they share. It reminds us that love isn't always about grand gestures and perfect moments. Sometimes it's about reassurance, compassion, and being there for someone in their darkest hour. Throughout their story, Bruce has never come closer to willingly relinquishing the mantle of Batman for anyone until Andrea. She was the one person who made him question his solitary existence. The one person he would have been willing to give it all up for. Even after learning of Andrea's own secret identity, vengeful crusade, and the complicated truths of her past, Bruce's love for her doesn't waver. Despite the heartbreak and betrayal that comes with the realization of her role in the larger story, Bruce's feelings for Andrea remain steadfast. His love for her is unconditional. In a way, she represents the one that got away, his one true love, who, despite everything, he would always carry in his heart. In the end, Bruce's relationship with Andrea is a tragic reminder of how love can be both the thing that heals and the thing that wounds the most. It shows that even in a life filled with darkness and sacrifice, there's still room for hope, and that sometimes the greatest love stories are the ones that aren't meant to be.
Up next, I have another frequent collaborator of mine, BDKnight, who you may know from his live streams focusing on DC media news and his yearly DC-Cember holiday series. He has chosen the alluring daddy's girl, Talia al Ghul.
I would say that for Bruce and Talia, they have more in common with each other than arguably most other love interests. For while she may want to make the world a better place like Ra's, like Batman, she will not take such drastic measures, at least within the DCAU. And even though, yes, she has betrayed him a couple of times, such as in her first appearance and Avatar, she has helped Batman, of course. For instance, with how she gave him the lockpick through lip contact to help him escape during the Demon's Quest, and even to help Bruce find Ra's hideout in Egypt to try to stop him from unearthing the tomb in Avatar. And I was going to say, like, no offense to any Catwoman shippers, but that shot of Batman and Talia kissing as the sun rises, to me, that's a better shot than the kiss shot on Hush. And I would say that for a while with Talia, she may have just had a typical kind of flirtation just to get what she wants in her first appearance. Afterwards, we see that she really does care about Batman, for how she is very conflicted between helping him and helping her father. And because it seems like she really wants to have a relation with him and doesn't want to, like, play games as much, at least compared to Catwoman. Because with Catwoman, she's always playing mind games, because you never know what her true intentions are, at least until she gets what she wants. And I would say for Batman, he definitely loves her, I would say, somewhat equally as much as Catwoman, maybe more. I think he really respects her. Another good point for Talia is that, unlike other love interests, she doesn't like one side of Bruce more than the other. I would say for Talia, she loves Batman for all who he is, in and out of costume. And I would say that for a while, she may not have appeared initially on the slideshow of Bruce's former love interest. He did have a picture of her in that restaurant that Ra's mentioned at the beginning of Out of the Past. And it was nice that he said, "Rest well, beloved," at the end of the episode, which is something that he's never called her before. It was always something that she always said in all her appearances.
Our next contributor is the TikTok sensation and co-host of Batman the Animated Series podcast, Alex Robson. If you've never listened to Alex's show before, what are you doing? Go and listen. After this though, please. He and his brother Will, who is a professional comic book artist, are working their way through each episode of Batman the Animated Series, alongside occasional guests from the BTAS creative team like Paul Dini, Dan Reba and Kevin Altieri. Alex has chosen Selina Kyle as Batman's most significant beau.
Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Alex Robson here from Batman the Animated Series podcast, and I'm here to talk about why Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman, is Batman's one and true love. Now, the reasons why I think this is: one, the bat and the cat just has a ring to it. I don't hear the bat and the Phantasm having the same type of ring, or the bat and Barbara. Ooh, that's controversial. Catwoman she ticks a lot of the boxes. You know what I mean? She can do all of the same things physically that Batman can, as far as being agile and athletic and being able to keep up with one another. The amount of times Batman chases Catwoman across the rooftops, and it's a cat and mouse or a bat and cat game, but then also mentally as well. She's never quite the villain, but she's never quite the good guy, and that's always the divide between them. But in Batman the Animated Series, they have just such a great repertoire. They know how to play off one another, and that obviously comes down to the incredible voice talent, but also just the characters themselves are just so well made and meant for one another. They just play off each other so well. Catwoman is probably the most famous female villain in Batman's rogues gallery. If you would say to me, name 5 Batman villains, she'd probably be in that 5. Or if you just say someone on the street who maybe isn't a Batman fan, can you name 1 or 2 Batman female villains? Catwoman undoubtedly will be one of those 2. Maybe Poison Ivy, maybe Harley Quinn will be thrown in there. But as far as the love of Bruce's life, I think Selina Kyle fits the bill perfectly. He loves that pussy cat, her cat. He loves her. Iris loves to hang out with Bruce all the time, always snuggling with him, brushing up against his leg. That pussy always... I'm going to stop. I hope that I've sold you or convinced you that Catwoman is Batman's one and true love. Thank you, and check out our podcast, if you haven't yet already, at Batman TAS Pod, anywhere you get your podcasts. Bye!
Up next, I have fellow Batman enthusiast BlueKnight Beyond, who is a huge fan of 2004's The Batman. In fact, if you ask him, he thinks it's the best Batman show, even better than BTAS. But try not to hold that against him. His choice for Batman's greatest love is the Princess of Themyscira herself, Wonder Woman.
Hi, BlueKnight Beyond here. So why do I believe WonderBat is the best romantic pairing for Batman over his other love interests, such as Talia, Catwoman, Barbara, and even Andrea Beaumont? Yes, I do think WonderBat even surpasses Andrea. Feel free to challenge me on that. But all jokes aside, I generally think Wonder Woman is the perfect match for Batman in the DCAU. To provide some context on how this relationship blossomed, we need to look back at Justice League Season 1, Episode 13, titled Brave and the Bold Part 2. In this episode, Gorilla Grodd has a sinister plan to destroy Gorilla City by launching military missiles. The Justice League swings into action to thwart him. During the mission, as they are disarming the missiles, Wonder Woman is tragically pinned down by debris. In a frantic moment, Batman rushes to her aid, calling her by her real name and clearing away some rocks. This scene is incredibly touching, with everyone just watching Batman as he desperately tries to save Diana. To everyone's surprise, Wonder Woman emerges alive, and she shows her gratitude by giving Batman a kiss on the cheek, leaving him visibly flustered. This beautiful moment was suggested by Bruce Timm, who drew this sketch illustrating the scene. Interestingly, it was almost cut from the show, just like so many other projects by WB.
Am I not supposed to have what I want? What I need?
What I love about this relationship is how healthy it is for Batman, something he's rarely had in the DCAU. She's not a cat burglar who has a flirtation of Batman and lies to him. She's not a love interest whose father wants to destroy the world, rebuild it from scratch, and is conflicted between her beloved and her father. She's not a woman that Bruce has known since she was a child, or another tragic love story that left him heartbroken, only to then return with a vengeance while framing Batman in the process. So yeah, WonderBat has a totally healthy relationship. They have this cute chemistry every time they're on screen together. You can really feel their care for one another, and I love the scene where Batman sings "Am I Blue" in order to save Diana. To top it all off, Batman doesn't have to worry about putting Diana in danger. If you remember in Justice League Unlimited, there's a scene of them together on a rooftop, with Diana suggesting they should go on a date, which was gonna happen in a pitch tie-in comic for the show. Yes, I'm still upset that this comic didn't happen. Ugh. Bruce obviously rejects this idea due to his fears of his enemies using Diana as a way to attack Batman. Diana's response? She breaks a gargoyle's head. She's not this damsel in distress that Batman has to go save, even though he has has several times. No, Diana is an incredibly strong and capable woman who saves Batman even now and then. Some might disagree with me, saying that the Wonder-Bat relationship doesn't work, seeing as in Batman Beyond, which takes place in the future, we see elderly Batman all alone with his pet dog Ace. While I understand this perspective, I like to think of it as a separate timeline in this universe. This world has faced destruction and rebirth time and time again. Heck, we just saw this universe get destroyed again in Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. Don't worry, it's not canon. It's just a separate Earth that looks and sounds like the DCAU. But my point is that in my headcanon, I envision a future where these two characters find happiness together, and I hope that someday someone will pick up this narrative and give them a conclusion they deserve.
Finally, I'm joined by James Strecker from the Watchtower database, easily the most significant YouTube channel dedicated to the DC animated universe. I am absolutely certain that he's not a stranger to any of you, but if by some chance he is, go and check their channel out. James's pick may surprise you.
When talking about DCAU Batman's greatest loves, there are a whole bunch of candidates. To quote Amanda Waller, when Batman was a young man, he was leaving his DNA all over town. Slow down. What do you mean that's not remotely what she meant? It's called subtext, my dude. Either way, the point still stands. Batman was a ladies' man. He should have just been called Ladies' Man. Just look at all the random women that threw themselves at his feet when he entered a room. And then he stepped over them. That's what he says in Batman Beyond. But no woman was ever truly able to make an honest man out of him. Except for Susan. But she was a plant woman genetically engineered by Poison Ivy to be the perfect mate for Bruce Wayne and came with a whole boatload of pheromones, so that doesn't count. But there is one person I want to bring up as a potential true love for Batman, and that's Kathy Duquesne from Batman Mystery of the Batwoman. Think about it, they have so much in common. They're both rich kids with issues brought on by the death of at least one parent due to gun violence, who went about dealing with their psychological trauma by putting on bat-themed costumes and beating the stuffing out of criminals. And in their day-to-day lives, both Kathy and Bruce enjoyed the same hobbies. Spending stupid amounts of money on shopping sprees, driving fast cars, looking mournfully out to sea when talking about lost loved ones, and running away from bodyguards. It's almost like they were two bat-shaped peas in the same bat-shaped pea pod. And Bruce genuinely seemed to like her. Like he smiles at the end of the movie. He doesn't do that very often. Sure, he first got involved with her to spy on her father, crime boss Carlton Duquesne, which might seem like it would disqualify her from the competition. Any relationship based on deception can't have any staying power. But to me, it gives off major Romeo and Juliet vibes. They were two star-crossed lovers from opposite worlds. Not like Green Lantern and Hawkgirl in the episode actually called Star-Crossed. That's from Romeo and Juliet. If you didn't know that, now you know that. And as we all know, Romeo and Juliet is one of the greatest love stories of all time with a heartwarming ending. They did what?
So that's what our panel of experts thought. Whose argument did you find the most compelling? Have any of them changed your mind? I know there were a few characters we didn't get the time to discuss, like Lois and Zatanna, but that's what your comments are for. Before wrapping up, I wanted to offer a few thoughts of my own. Each of the women in this video played a pivotal role in Batman's life. Andrea Beaumont forced Batman to confront his destiny, and without her departure, he might never have become Batman. Talia taught him that love isn't always enough, and that some loyalties run deeper. Selina showed him that love doesn't mean changing someone, and Diana challenged his very idea of what love could be. Even Kathy proved that heartbreak doesn't mean you have to be alone. They all mattered, but in my opinion, Batman's greatest love, the one he was devoted to above all else, was Gotham City. As a billionaire, he could have turned a blind eye to Gotham's corruption. He could have even joined his peers in draining the city to line his own pocket. Instead, he poured his fortune into making it better, funding free healthcare, soup kitchens, halfway houses for ex-criminals, and buying up companies to bring jobs to the city. He didn't just fight crime in the shadows, he fought for Gotham's people, its landmarks, and its soul. Yes, he had regrets. He lost love more times than he'd care to admit, including Barbara Gordon, though I doubt anyone's bold enough to argue that she was the one. I certainly wouldn't. But in the end, Batman always put Gotham first. And if Gotham was safe, then that was enough for him. Okay, that's it for this week's essay. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, tell all your friends about me. You know how YouTube works. If you really enjoyed the video and have the means, please consider making use of the thanks button to send a buck or two my way, because every little helps. I offer channel memberships for $1.99 a month. This will get you early access to my weekly video essay, priority responses to your comments, members-only videos, custom emojis, and an icon on your profile indicating that you're one of my people. And special thanks to my current channel members, who are all listed on the screen right now. Next time. On Monday, I'll be back with another video about the villain scene in 2013's overlooked Batman cartoon, Beware the Batman. This time I'll be looking at the devilish Professor Pig, to highlight just how different he was from his comic book counterpart. And next Friday, I'll be covering the winner of my recent Superman the Animated Series villain poll. I'm going to be talking about Darkseid's most loyal supporter, the tormentor of children across the universe, Granny Goodness. Hope to see you then.